Hopefully that worked. Wait a second. Hello everyone, welcome to Seki's channel, and yes, for a long while now we've started a video channel. Or no, not a video channel. Fuck! For a long while now we've started a channel in which we wanted to show everybody how to learn tech and what everybody should know about tech at the end of the day. Pretty much. That's pretty much it. And so today I shall arm you with some weaponry called information, in order for you guys to know exactly which CPUs to buy and which ones to stay away from. So let's go into the CPU video, as the thumbnail, about how to build your own PC. Let's get back to this guy. Now everybody's probably going to think about the C. First, I don't know. I'm going to just delve in a bit on what the CPU really is, at least in my perspective, because everybody has their own ideology when it comes to the CPU. Now, here's the fun thing. A CPU, which would be exactly this little thing. In this case, this would be an 1155 chip with the LGA type socket, as you can see. It is not, I'm gonna say, the best thing, but let's face it. LGA has gone a long way, the same way AMD has gotten with their Ryzen lineup, and they're actually Intel, I don't know, they're just having fun with refreshes of Skylake and Coffee Lake, because why not? Am I right? Am I right, Intel? Intel, am I right? Hope you've seen this. Anyways, back to the whole situation. So I wanted to tell you guys what you should and should not buy when it comes to these sort of things. Now, when it comes to the new generation Skylake and Coffee Lake processors, I don't know. I'm going to say choose whatever fits you better. Skylake was made for performance and a lot of speed with the pretty good amount of cache, but Coffee Lake was pretty much Skylake 2.0, even though its release made no sense whatsoever in both the gaming and industry leading worlds. But we'll get to that in a moment. But when it came to AMD, now this is going to be more accurate information because I'm more of an AMD fan, okay? When it came to AMD, they released the Ryzen lineup. Now let's just say when the Ryzen lineup was released, actually yeah, let's just say it like that. AMD slapped Intel to the face, saying we got better performance than your chips, and not to mention that, but we got more cores on that flipping thing. So what's she gonna do about that? At the time, of course, their best CPU had 8 cores and 8 threads, which was 16 cores, and when the new chips released from Ryzen, they were 50 to 20% faster. Not to mention that they were way cheaper and they were promising way better performance than the existing chips from Intel, which were heck a lot of expensive. So what's the deal, you might say? Well, Ryzen, even though it was first generation, it was a blast. It destroyed any Intel CPU in most scenarios. However, in some scenarios, it was competing with the top 9800K from Intel. Now, with Ryzen 2 launched, we are seeing even better evidence that Ryzen is trying to keep their CPU market, because not only do they have pretty good performance, but they even have a pretty solid price. I mean, let's face it, you cannot do that top dollar down. However, here's what apparently Intel is trying to do. They are trying to create the one CPU that literally can beat Ryzen hands down. And yes, it beats Ryzen, but let's face it, why would you try to beat a CPU that is already existent and has captivated most of the market share, when you could easily try to create a new architecture, instead of having to fussle over the market share, which Intel apparently has lost most of it, not to mention up till AMD's release of Ryzen They have risen. Yeah, that actually is a bad joke. They have a rise. Why am I doing this? They have gotten from ashes to being this company that sells unbelievably good chips for unthinkable prices. Like, let's face it, the new Ryzen APUs were cheap, but were cheap. Let alone the Ryzen CPUs that were released. And not to mention that these new graphics cards that they were released by AMD, I'm not sure exactly if I should say AMD or ATI at this point. I'm just confused, honestly. I'm just going to say by Team Red. Their GPUs, yes, they were a big flop down, honestly. They costed way too much for their performance, and it made it so that the GTX 1080 or any NVIDIA cards were way better than any of their AMD counterparts, which pretty much led to us seeing a lot of people creating PCs with GTX 1060s, 1070s, 1080s, and 1080 Ti's, and 1070 Ti's, and 1060 Ti's for that matter, and 1050 Ti's for the like. Which pretty much gets me to my point. Which cards should you buy, considering the new lineup that has been released from Nvidia, which is the RTX lineup? I'll say this pretty much. Nvidia is not trying to make RTX a new thing just yet. That's because of the new price that has come out. But yet, I tell this: don't buy it. Save it. Do exactly a nice thing for both your wallet and your computer, and do not buy the new RTX cards, because they do not make any sense in any relevant space. Yes, they're really strong. Yes, some of the benchmarks right now are starting to make sense. But as Linus Sebastian said in one of his videos, and as I forgot one of the other YouTubers. I'm going to say Jay, but I'm not really sure. I think JayzTwoSence made a video on this. But anyways, you get the point. They both said that these graphics cards make completely no sense in the gaming world because they do not have any driver support. There is no game outside. There is no game out there that actually makes sense to actually play it on because there is no game developer that has intended this feature to exist, the ray tracing feature. And last and foremost, oh, 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 the price tag, please. You're gonna have to sell more than just a kidney if you want to get yourself a graphics card. But apart from that, okay, let's just leave that on the side. I'll say this much: forget about the RTX lineup. Forget that the RTX lineup ever existed. Just buy GTX 1080s, okay? Just buy the GTX 1080. Make yourself a GTX 1080 Ti, even if that's your cup of tea, so to speak. And believe me, you're gonna be better off with the GTX 1080 Ti. However, when it comes to the CPU space, I'll say it'll all depend on whatever you want from both Intel and AMD. Both Intel and AMD have their best sporting CPUs out on the market, and I'm going to say it's going to be unfair to say that one is better than the other. Yes, they have different use cases, and both the CPUs perform differently. But at the same time, I'll say if you want cheaper prices, yet the exact same thing, just go for the Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7, honestly. But if you want, I don't know, that eye candy and that name, along with, yes, of course, more increased performance than the Ryzen lineup, at some extent that is. I mean, it's a 5 to 10% difference in between them. Basically, it's margin of error in my opinion, so it makes no sense. I mean, for the average gamer, it would make completely no sense to go for Intel, in my opinion. I would rather go with Ryzen, and it's the exact same thing. And honestly, when it comes to the other end, which would be the enterprise region, then yes, Threadripper all the way. Threadripper is actually a very good CPU, even if it's just for TR4 socket. Basically, it has its own proprietary socket, which means a proprietary motherboard, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to call it proprietary anymore because we already have a lot of custom boards to choose from. But you get the point. At the end of the day, what do we have to actually take out of this? Go for Ryzen, forget Intel, completely, in my opinion. Or if you want just eye candy, go for Intel. Of course, if you want bragging rights, go for Intel. But seriously now, in all seriousness, if you want the best price of performance, I would still say go with Ryzen all the way. Go with Ryzen all the way when it comes to CPUs, because they're just better all out. Both price to performance, and it won't cost you a kidney to get yourself a CPU. Okay. In the next episode, we'll be talking about GPUs, but today we just pretty much covered a part of it, because I haven't yet said everything that I could possibly say about GPUs. So, tomorrow you will see another video posted about this specific subject. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to animate so much stuff. Anyways, leaving that aside, this has been Down with Techies. Hope you love the tech, because we all love this tech. Peace!